What will all these people do when we run out of oil? This is a graph of the, shows the amount of people in the world. Looks pretty scary, doesn't it? I mean, already, there was an article just about a month ago about Europeans, France. The French were demonstrating in the streets about oil prices. That's just France. And the oil prices haven't hit the roof yet.
The world's biggest problem today, I think it's starving people. People who have nowhere to live and no money to buy food.
How many agree with that? Hunger, starvation. Anybody? Okay. I mean, it's not one big problem. I mean, there's lots of problems. So if you agree with the idea, you can raise your hand. What countries in Africa do not have oil or energy? Basically the same countries where there's a mass starvation. 24,000 people die every day from hunger. It would take about $13 billion a year to end hunger, according to the UN. $13 billion, not so much really. When you consider that between the United States of America, they spend $18 billion on pet food.
One of the biggest problems is people's lack of interest and knowledge about what they eat. If people were more enlightened about their food habits, they could change their whereabouts and their healthiness. I have friends that has got a lot better physically and mentally from changing their diet.
Did you catch that? The diet. What we eat. How many would you agree with that as one of the world's biggest problems? Okay. Well, this is a graph that shows the amount of energy it takes to create different kinds of food. Here on the left we have processed food, and on the right we have more natural food. And just from an energy standpoint we'll look at. I'll go into the other parts later. But you can see, like, baked cereal. How many had baked cereal this morning? You know, like corn flakes and things like that. Oh, quite a few of you. You just use 40 times more energy, roughly, than if you had oatmeal or rice. What about that chocolate bar instead of an apple? 40 times more energy. You may think it's a little bit. Think about it multiplied over and over, millions of people who have this stuff. And then think about the health consequences. This is what that lifestyle is giving us. Back in 1985, this is a fat map, and what it means that, you know, they do it by body mass, and if you have a body mass of 30 or more, it means you're about this high and about this wide. You're pretty fat. I mean, you're pretty fat. So back in 1985, basically nobody in America was that fat. You know, it was not so many. As we can see, you know, 10% or less were that fat. This is blue. But then you go up to the year 2000, and look how many people, 20% of the people in each state of these areas are fat, are that level of fat. That's 1 in every 5. You know, at least 15 to 20%. I mean, you watch a movie. Every time I don't watch TV very much, but whenever I do and I see a bunch of fat people, I know it's coming from America. Well, how'd they get that way? There was a massive government program to educate people about diet and what you should eat. And they promoted pastries and, you know, these processed foods as you got to have these 10 times a day or something like that. And everybody believed it because they didn't know any better. Well, is that just America? Same thing is happening here. I was in a school in Uppsala and they were promoting, you can come on in. I guess you can come on in, you own the school, right? Or you run it. But anyway, I was in Uppsala and I was promoting my lecture, and they had a day of health. They were teaching the students about health. So I thought, oh, I'll sit in the lecture and see what they're saying about it. And the guy was up there talking, and he was promoting this book. He's handing it out to the kids. This is a healthy diet, he says. And you look on the back of this book, and what are they telling you is a healthy diet? Let me pull some of the pictures out here. Well, here we have lots of macaroni, and then we have pizza. Pizza is very healthy for you. Did you know that? And chocolate bar with frosting on it. That's extremely healthy for you. See, the idea is if it gives you energy, it's healthy. What else? Corv hot dogs. Oh, cereal with lots of sugar on it. Really healthy. This is what is being promoted in the schools in Sweden. I know it's been getting around. And guess who writes this book? Let me see on the back. Cyrilia. It's not from the U.S. Not from the government here. It's from Cyrilia. That's one of the world's Northern Europe's largest producer of processed food. You know, Corv Hot Dog Company and stuff like that. The companies are in here educating you on what's a good diet for you so they can make money. They don't care about your health. You're going to end up just like that in 10 years. I am not joking. I'm seeing it already. I mean, you probably are too. And that leads to diabetes. 17 million people in the world now is supposed to double by the year 2030. In Germany, they're afraid it's going to crash their health care system. It's supposed to double in 5 years there. Big problem. Diabetes is not something fun to get. First you start losing your legs, you get blind, you die early. And what is it taking from us? This is a UN report. And it's saying that the brain power of entire nations has diminished because of a shortage of the right vitamins. It says these deficiencies are having alarming effects in developing countries, even ones where people generally have enough to eat. It's not about starvation. These are developing countries that have food. They're getting the wrong food, and it's making them stupid. Really. If you don't have the right vitamins, you can't think straight.
One of the world's biggest problems is global warming. Look at Hurricane Katrina and the devastating power that these natural disasters have. In the 90s, we had twice as many natural disasters caused by the climate as we had in the 80s.
How many think global warming is one of the biggest world problems? Okay. Some of you are voting twice, that's okay. It's a lot of problems. Well, that doesn't go with, it goes without saying, basically. I mean, pretty obvious, Hurricane Katrina and the global, what's the temperature outside today? What's it been like for the last month? Is that normal here in Sweden?
When someone, well now, I'm talking George Bush, acts like God's adversary in his mind and think he's combating the axis of evil, and it's crazy when religion is all about finding what's good or bad in you. It's not about we're good and they're wrong. It's good and bad in every person. So that's dangerous. If you use it the wrong way, we're gonna have trouble.
How many agree with that? The misuse of religion. Okay. Well, in Joseph Campbell's study, he went around and studied. He's quite a famous person. He studied the major religions of the world. And he found that no matter what religion he went to, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, 90% of the people in that religion used it to be less compassionate. And 10% used it to be super compassionate. You know, it's like you come across somebody in a car wreck, instead of coming out and helping, they say, oh, bad karma for you. Using your knowledge of karma to say, oh, bad guy. Devil must have got a hold of him. Well, let's take a look at these leaders. Which are the 10% and which are the 90%? Are we in trouble?
I think mankind is the biggest problem in the world. We create all these problems for ourselves and we don't solve them and we don't care.
How many think that's the biggest problem? We ourselves. Yeah, you get a lot of that. The world faces, according to the World Health Organization, the world faces an explosion of lifestyle illnesses. In other words, what we choose to eat and how we choose to live is killing us. It says these lifestyle diseases add up to 24.5 million deaths every year, or 47% of the annual global total of deaths from all causes. The way we choose to live our life is more dangerous than all the oil shortages, the poverty, the wars, the global warming, the starvation